Hey everybody and welcome. This is David Lees with today a video review of Star Trek Year 5, Issue 2. Apologies for the delay, it's been a busy time, but I'm pleased to bring you Issue 2 of Star Trek Year 5. Remember at the end of the previous issue, Kirk and team had beamed down to a planet and found it devastated. No Tholian life there, all frozen to absolute zero, except for one survivor that they found, and the story picks up from there. Let me just go straight to page 1. We'll get straight in. So the Enterprise has been hailed by the Tholians, been accused of crimes against the Tholian embassy, trespass and so on, and Kirk and Spock are trying to argue their case that they were there on pretty much a humanitarian mission. Excuse me. So they've got the survivor held in a force field in sickbay, so Dr. McCoy looking after the situation there with Nurse Chapel, and they're trying to negotiate with the Tholians to explain what had happened. Loving the artwork, as I said last time with issue 1. Realistic drawings, really well written. Sorry, it is well written, but lovely colours, lovely bright colours in stark contrast to the dim greys and blacks that we've had for Transformers, for example. Really lovely line art, really distinct, clear, love it. Really a big fan. Captain, the Tholians are powering some kind of weapon. So that's Chekhov, as usual. And sure enough, they start firing through the Enterprise, causing a direct hit, damaging organic life. Let me zoom out a little so see what I'm talking about. So Mr. Scott is not entirely accurate. Computer control has suffered a direct hit. The Tholian weapon has proven acceptably efficient. Our sensors, helm guidance and targeting mechanisms are offline. So they retreat. Spock orders Sulu to withdraw, which they do at Warp 1. Have a discussion about how they're going to defeat the Tholians, given that the situation at their end. They've got the Tholian survivor, perceived to be possibly a prisoner, but definitely a survivor, more of a patient than anything else. Bearing in mind that this is towards the end of the Enterprise, this initial 5-year mission, trying to wrap things up quietly. The story really does develop well. They decide they're going to ask Uhura as the best linguist on board to attempt to communicate with the Tholian. And while they're discussing that, Scotty's on the bridge. Good reference here to the Kobayashi Maru. Scotty's perceiving this as a complete no-win situation, which it certainly comes across as. The Tholian vessel's closing on the Enterprise, but they don't have the computer control, they don't have helm control, and so on, so they can't exceed Warp 1, so they are stuck. Uhura reminds us that Captain Kirk hacked the Kobayashi Maru, as mentioned in the original Star Trek films, as seen in the recent Star Trek film with Chris Pine and so on, where we actually see how Captain Kirk hacks the Kobayashi Maru simulation. It's really good, highly recommended, and a good reference here. So Uhura recommends hacking the scenario. Why rely on a computer when you can put us to use? So they get the calculators out and the slide rules, load up a spreadsheet and actually start plotting a course at greater speed. Meanwhile, Captain Kirk attempts to communicate with the Tholian survivor, who looks extremely distressed, and Kirk gives him a monologue. It's classic Kirk monologue. I won't give it all. I won't go through it all, but he covers a lot of the material we've seen in the original series. Kirk's asking for some kind of sign that he's being understood. Is not really making much progress. It's very slow. Call back to the bridge, where Scotty and the team have worked out how to use the Tholian's weapon against them. The weapon uses stasis energy. They're here for a fight, but we don't have to be, says Kirk. This is Kirk, much more seasoned than he was in the original series. He's had the full experience of all those episodes we've seen. I don't want you to diminish what you've done here. Reverse engineering the Tholian weapon is great, but it doesn't change the fact that the Tholians still have that weapon, and Spock presents an alternative solution. So what do? Ask Sulu and team to plot a course. They go back to the Einstein-Rosen-Ouroboros device that they had in issue 1 I should say. Really well written. The connection between the two, it seems to be just an incidental part of the first issue. It's now become a pivotal part of the second. I won't spoil it all entirely, but they use that device against the Tholians, as they have to in order to escape, in effect. The Tholians want their individual back to us, and proven that you have already proven that you cannot run from us. Kirk explains this isn't negotiation and transmission, and they use the Einstein-Rosenberg-Ouroboros bridge against the Tholians, damaging their ship, and we see in the end that end up having to blow up the Tholian ship, causing considerable damage and then destroying it completely. Kirk goes back to his ramblings about Odysseus. History was barely new, his stories were gods and monsters, his history had begun with a war, but I am not Odysseus. And it's a nice wrap. So we get to the end of the second issue. Kirk reflecting on how much he's lost since he took the chair, 78 crewmates, Sam, Carol, his wife, well, his partner, David, his son. But I swear as long as I'm breathing on, I swear I'll never lose the hope that lies just beyond the horizon, the unknown that calls us to empathy, not hate. And Warp 5, Mr. Sulu, set a course for home. So a nice little two-parter. I won't spoil issue 3 too much, I will get to it very shortly, but we still have the unconcluded, if that's the word, but the incomplete story of the Tholian that's still on board. Let's not forget that. It's all nicely, neatly wrapped up, except for that very loose end, so more to be seen. So you're going to go through issue 3, A Prime Directive Disaster, Communication Breakdown. I'll cover this as soon as I can, but this is a really great story. Again, harkening back to some of the original TV episodes, as this one has with the Tholians and the Tholian web and all that kind of thing. We'll go back to that shortly. Open channels, looking at Star Trek comics IDW, what's coming up, what they've been doing in the past, what's coming up in the future as was. Then the cover gallery, so this is issue 2, the retail incentive version, kind of an arty kind of look to the cover, so almost like Art Deco. And then on sale in May, so this is how far behind I am. This was out in May and I'm presenting this in December, so there you go. Star Trek Transformers, despite liking them both separately, I never went for the crossover. And then Clue with a candlestick, and then a genuine review of Star Trek Year 5. This is their final year, the 5th year in fact. They've travelled to strange new worlds, defeated impossible foes and made universe-changing decisions, but with home in sight, they'll soon face their biggest challenges yet. The final voyage of the original 5-year mission continues here. And it will do, coming to a video near you in the next few days or so, so please do look out for that. If you have any thoughts, please do put them in the comments, please like and subscribe, and I'll be back as soon as I can with some more. Until then, live long and prosper.